How we feeling, everybody? We're back here. A little bit of Baro Banter. Sorry we took last week off. We had some things to deal with.
Personal issues.
Personal things. I myself had an interview. Chris starting to recover. He was going to be here this week, and then he had some incidents with his car, so he's having a little bit of car trouble. So no Chris today. We promise you he'll be back very, very shortly. We'll get this three-man crew back up and running. For today, however, myself, Tyler Zulli, my brother, Brandon Zulli, for another edition of Baro Banter. You know, it was kind of weird not doing it last week. Something didn't feel right in my week.
To me, it felt wrong.
You know, and we usually do these on Thursdays. We record on Thursdays, put them out on Fridays. We're a little bit behind today. I had an 11-hour work day yesterday, so we kind of got a little bit sidetracked yesterday, but we're back. We're at it. We've got more things to talk about. Guess who we're going to start with? We're going to start with but no, we're going to start with Trump.
Unfortunately. Every week.
Every single week.
I think it's only been 1 week we haven't started with something political.
And we can't get away from it.
We're not going to get away from it. It's the top stories of the world half the time.
Well, that's the thing.
Unless we want to talk about a tax every week.
Well, that's the thing. It's the top story of the country for sure, and it's probably closing in on the top story of the world.
So we're either going to talk about political or
bombings.
Yeah.
That's all you've got. That's all you have that are the big news stories anymore. You don't get man saves 15 puppies from the well. That's not a thing anymore.
Gracious blood drive saves
hundreds in Ethiopia.
Hundreds in Ethiopia. You're not getting that.
That's not a thing anymore.
You're getting crazy stupid people shooting up GOP baseball games.
And, you know, we would have talked about that last week had we done a show, but I'm a big believer in news is, you know how they used to say it's a 24-hour cycle?
Mm-hmm.
It's a 24-second cycle now.
Yep.
With Twitter and Instagram and, you know, you don't have to pay for, there's no paywalls anymore on most sites. You can get on majority of sites, New York Times, CNN, Fox News. You can get on anything you want, whatever way you swing, pretty much for free. And so, you know, everything's is very, very quick. It's demand. So we're going to get to this one. It came out, the news broke yesterday. For our sake, yesterday is pretty good. Had we had done this show yesterday, it would have been right on time. But 1 day is much better than 12 days.
Yes.
So let's get to this. The Senate has introduced their version of a health care bill that has a bunch of changes. And the main factor is the Republicans have been looking to make a change in the Affordable Care Act and what was called Obamacare for 7 years now, since it was introduced. This isn't new. This isn't anything new. The repeal and replace has been going on since the Republicans realized that Obama was reelected, or Obama was elected the first time, I should say, and they probably figured he was going to be reelected again. They've been trying to get this out of Congress and out of law for 7 years now. There are some changes. There are some big changes. There's some very Republican looks. There's actually some looks that I find to be okay, and I think you and I are going to have very differing opinions on this. But why don't you open this up? Explain to us what's going on.
Well, basically, for the Better Care Reconciliation Act, which is what they were calling it, what most likely it seems to be is just a way to destroy Medicaid, which is basically just to help low-income families get better health insurance without having to pay for it because they wouldn't be able to pay for it. And obviously Republicans, they don't want that. That's just too much. That you're helping them. They're going to rely on you too much. No, they're going to rely on us. We're going to keep them alive.
The number one thing about being a Republican is you don't like big business. You like the government out of business. So
they like big business.
No,
they don't like big government.
Right, yeah, but big business in the fact of they want mom and pop shops.
No.
They want people doing it on their own. So this makes sense in their terms. However, you're right. There are people that can't afford Medicare and supplementation like that. Otherwise, that, you know, healthcare is, in my opinion, a basic human right. Everybody deserves healthcare.
Everyone should be able to be healthy and alive.
It may not be great healthcare, and you're not going to get the top-notch doctors and the top-notch surgeries.
No.
But you get the basics.
You should be able to go into a hospital and say, I don't know, I got shot. Please take care of me.
Yeah, please help me. So, let's talk about this. It's an article from CNN. It says, who gets hurt and who gets helped by this Senate health care bill? So, the people that it helps. First of all, I think you and I are going to look at this and be thankful because it helps younger Americans pay less coverage. Somewhere between $700 and $4,000 a year on average for policyholders ages 20 to 29. Now, you and I both are able to stay on our parents' insurance until we're 26 years old, for now at least.
Yes.
That may change in the near future, but policyholders 20 to 29 could save upwards of $4,000 on average on their life insurance and on their health care. To me, that makes sense. Who is the least at-risk generation that has to have health insurance of their own? Ours, exactly. So it makes sense. You continue on. The younger generation will get help. The healthy would be able to buy less expensive plans that cover fewer services. The wealthy would have to pay less in taxes, and insurers would receive more federal funds. Now here's who gets hurt. Like you mentioned, many people who were involved in Obamacare who can't pay for health care out of pocket. Lower income Americans could be left uninsured. Older enrollees might get their premium rise. Middle class Americans would qualify for less middle class Americans would qualify for subsidies, and those with pre-existing condition or opioid addictions may receive fewer covered services.
And as we covered last week, or 2 weeks ago, pre-existing conditions includes everyone.
Now, let's run through these one at a time. I think this is probably the best guide for us.
Yes.
And tell me if you agree or disagree that if you think that the bill would help like it says it's going to. So younger Americans would pay less, right? So just like the House plan, the Senate plan would lower premiums for the youngest Americans that have their own health insurance by charging older policy enrollees more, like we said, could make upwards of $4,000 a year in cuts for younger enrollees and policyholders.
Now, what entails older people? Because, like, what if it's someone who's retiring and doesn't have a lot of money?
Well, here's the thing. It's the policyholders from 20 to 29. So 30 and up would see a spike. 29 and down would see a drop.
I don't know if I can get behind that just because we get it for now.
Right.
Because once we're up at 30 and up, we're going to be paying for it later.
The thought process is, though, at what point in your career, your professional career, do you make the least amount of money?
Around now.
When you're 24, 25, 26, coming out of college, you're in student debt, you're probably still living at home. All these things I just explained were me, so I understand it. They're the people that need the help the most.
Well, I can understand
in the cuts.
That.
Because it kind of plays right off onto the next one. The healthy could buy less expensive plans that cover fewer services. You and I are relatively healthy. I've got a knee problem, but that's fixable. You're relatively healthy as well. You've had, back spasms throughout your life, but you're healthy.
Yeah.
I don't need coverage for stroke. I don't need coverage for heart attack. The likelihood of me, somebody that's 23 years old, an active person, physically active, I eat fairly well, I stay in shape, I avoid certain things, I don't drink a lot. I don't need things like stroke and heart attack and things like that are more prone for an older person. So for me, this works. Because why should I have to pay for coverage on that when I likely don't need it? I need to get hit by a bus. That's pretty much what I need. I need broken leg. I need flu. Things that a 23, 24-year-old can get.
Now, even with that, will people who need the coverage for more things be paying more than they would under Obamacare?
Yes. Oh, well, the younger people?
No, all people.
All people, yeah.
See, I don't know if I like that. Like we said, healthcare should be, for everyone, but
right.
They shouldn't have to pay an arm and a leg if they're older and more prone to injury.
And let's flip that. That's one of the ones on the people who get hurt are the older enrollees would see their premiums rise. And this one actually uses the word soar. So Americans in their 50s and 60s could get charged upwards of almost 3 times more than the younger policyholders. The most it could be is 5 to 1. So that would mean, I'm reading this from CNN, that would mean that the adults ages 60 to 64 would see their annual premium soar 22% to nearly $18,000, and those in their 50s would be hit 13% to an annual premium of $12,800. Let me ask you this. Why do you feel that I should have to pay the same as somebody in their 60s who has chronic whatever? They have a history of whatever. They had this in the past of whatever. Why me as a 23-year-old healthy kid, why do I have to pay the same amount of money as them?
I'm not arguing that. I'm just arguing that they have to pay more. I think
they should have to pay more.
Think
they're more at risk.
I think there should be like a cutoff where you start going back down. And
why?
Just because since they are more likely, so that they can get help and not destroy their money reserves or whatever.
Well, here's
the process.
They should have money saved. They also have to understand that as you get into your 60s and get into your 70s, you're more likely to get sick. You're more likely to die. You're more likely to get whatever kind of need for a hospital care and need for health care that you're going to have. Like I said, me at 23, you at almost 20, the rate or the chance of me and you suffering a stroke, me or you suffering a heart attack, me or you having dementia, significantly less than somebody in their 60s or in their 70s. So they should be paying more because healthcare is gambling. Healthcare has always been gambling. I give you money in hopes that I don't need it.
In the case I get in an accident.
Right. So the insurance companies are hoping that you do. And they get more money. You're hoping that you don't. But if you don't pay this money now for health care and for health insurance, and you do end up getting in an accident, or you do end up getting sick, or you do end up having whatever, then you're paying out the ass out of your pocket. That's the point of health care. It's a gamble. You're basically playing against yourself and hoping you lose that bet. Because losing the bet costs you more than winning the bet. It sounds stupid and bizarre, but that's how the healthcare system in this country works. And that's how it's always worked.
It's ass backwards, just like everything else in this country.
Well, of course it is, but you have to take it for what it is.
True.
And there's no way around it. That's never going to change because a Republican comes in and they repeal the Affordable Care Act with this act, and in 4 years or in 8 years, whenever Trump's done being in office, if a Democrat comes in, they're going to repeal this and bring something new in, and then in 4 years or 8 years, when a Republican comes, it's cyclical. It's going to happen and happen and happen and happen. It's like building a wall and knocking it down, and then building a wall and then knocking it down. You're never going to build the wall you want to build if you keep knocking the freaking wall down.
What we're talking about now we'll actually get into more in depth in our third segment for my question. Let's move on to the next point for the healthcare bill, though.
So,
apparently the healthcare bill is going to have massive tax cuts for the wealthy as well.
Well, and that's where I have a problem, is tax cuts for the wealthy and insurers getting more federal funding. You can't have it both ways. That's the problem I have. If you give insurers more federal funding, my premium should go down. It's supply and demand. If the insurers get very little federal money, they need to make up for that money by taking money from me. It's how insurance works. If they get more federal dollars, then they should get less money from me. That I have a problem with.
So, according to theweek.com, the biggest cut in the BCRA, which is the new healthcare bill, is to the capital gains tax, which would only apply to people who earn more than $200,000 annually, and can't even be justified as an incentive to boost economic growth. Like, how does this help anybody but Trump and his wealthy friends?
Well, and here is my question. Here's what I'm looking at. It's somebody that makes $200,000.
Even think about this for a second. Hold on, I'm sorry. Even think about this. Say you were mentioning since you're healthy and all that, you don't have to pay for a stroke stroke care or whatever.
Right.
That I get. But think of it this way. Say medical anomaly, you get a stroke. You're paying out the ass.
Well, of course. And again, I'm betting on myself to stay healthy. I'm paying a company in hopes that I don't get sick. That's all insurance is. It's to have it. If I want to say, well, I'm 23, I'm relatively healthy, I'm going to bet that in the next however many years, I get whatever kind of policy I get, my yearly policy, whatever. However many years I have this policy for, in that time frame, I'm not going to get X, Y, or Z. And if I get X, Y, or Z, I know that I'm screwed because I can't afford it, and nobody can afford that kind of coverage. That kind of health care once it happens if you're not covered. That's why you get certain policies. And that's why if I need A, B, and C, and you need A, B, and C, and somebody in their 60s or 70s needs A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, why do I have to pay the same for A, B, and C when they have to pay that they would pay for the first 16 letters of the alphabet? Do you get where I'm coming from?
I understand your point. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased because it's coming from a Republican.
Take it outside of the spectrum of Donald Trump and the Republicans bringing this out.
I'm trying to. It's just really hard to.
Don't say this is a Trump proposed bill. This isn't a Ryan proposed bill. This isn't a McConnell proposed bill. This is an American bill. Take it for what it's worth and look at it. And give me a reason as to why I should have to pay the same as somebody that's 60 with problems.
I can't, honestly.
Right. So let's move on this one. So the wealthy will pay less taxes, like you said. Those making over $200,000, couples making $250,000, they'd have to pay an additional 0.9%. So not even a 1% tax. So $200,000, 1% of $200,000 is what? $2,000.
Yeah.
So $2,000 in Medicare payroll tax on the amount they earn above this threshold. So it's only on. So say it's $200,000 threshold. If somebody makes $220,000, they pay 1% on $20,000. That's $200.
Yeah.
Right. So that's not a whole lot of money to somebody that's making $200,000. These taxpayers would be hit with a 3.8% surcharge on investment income taxes above those thresholds as well. These levies would disappear in 2023 and then in 2017, respectively. So that tax surcharge for the 1 year doesn't really do anything. All right, so let's move on. Like we said, insurers would receive more federal funding. We kind of talked about that. It's kind of it should be. That's the one I have a problem with. It should be a supply and demand type thing. Yeah. It's not. Let's get to those who get hurt. We talked about the older people. Many Obamacare enrollees would have to pay more out of pocket for health care services. So basically, what you're saying is somebody who was on Obamacare would have to pay more. And this one you could kind of look at in a couple of ways. And somebody that agrees with a lot of the first things, I don't agree with this one because basically what you're saying is, screw you for being on Obamacare. We hated it, now we hate you.
That's honestly when you were saying that, that's what I was thinking. And I was, how could that be legal? How could they say because you're on Obamacare you pay more? How is that possible?
Well, and let me read you this. This is all a quote from CNN. In 2017, the average deductible for a silver plan is just under $3,600, but bronze plans have an deductible of nearly $6,100. That means consumers will likely have to pay more out of pocket to see the doctor and get treatment. Now, I don't know how the Obamacare silver and bronze plans work exactly, but I would assume that the bronze plan is a for less wealthy, I would assume. We can look that up.
It is for something like minor injuries.
Yeah, let me look that up real quick and see what it says, just to get this correct. Okay, so Obamacare bronze plan. Here is what the bronze plan is. This is off ObamacareFacts.com. So let me see here. Bronze plan is a type of metal plan on the health insurance marketplace. Bronze plan qualifies for tax credits and have low premiums. Other metal plans include silver, gold, and platinum. So bronze is the cheapest. It's the cheapest premium.
So it's for low-income housing.
It's for low-income people, right. If you make between 100% and 250% of the federal poverty level, which, let me look that up, which I think is somewhere around like $17,000, $18,000, something along those lines. Okay. So if you're in a one-person household, the 100% of the federal poverty line the minimum to qualify for the Affordable Care Act assistance is $12,060. You can make $12,060 more. You can make more than $12,060 if you put in 40 hours a week at McDonald's.
Yeah. So who does that cover?
Nobody. People.
Unemployed people.
Unemployed people. Those on welfare. So
now, I honestly can't. Like I said, I want health care for everyone, but unemployed people, I don't know if they should get health care if they're not looking for work.
Well, and there's the difference. That's the cut line. How do you know? And that's why when I was unemployed, I had to fill in worksheets that said I looked for a job here, here, and here, and I had to fax it to the Delaware unemployment people and send it to them. And they wouldn't send me my check until I sent them that. So you have to be able to use it that way. So let me put it this way. If you were to work 40 hours a week over the course of a year, and let's say you take your vacation, your 1 week of vacation, so you're at 51 weeks per year. That's 2,040 weeks per year. So let's do this math real quick. And we're going to do this very, very quickly on the phone calculator. It's nice and easy. God bless calculators. It was $12,060, correct?
Yes.
Divide that by 2,040 hours a week. In order to make $12,600 if you worked 40 hours a week, you're making $6 an hour.
That's
illegal.
That's a waitress.
That's
you get no
illegal unless you're a waitress or waiter or bartender.
And you get no tips.
Or if you work for commission. Right, exactly. And getting no tips. Nobody who puts in an honest 40 hours a week, even at McDonald's, even as the lowest of the low jobs, and I'm never going to bash somebody's job, you would be well over $12,000 a year. You would, even if you made $7.25, which is the minimum wage in Pennsylvania, and I know it's higher in other states, but if you worked in Pennsylvania, made $7.25 an hour, and worked an honest 40 hours a week, you would make well over $12,000 a year. So who the hell is the Affordable Care Act Bronze Plan covering?
It's got to be only unemployed people.
That's all I can think of. That's all I can think of.
Or the vast, or the
so remember,
tiny minority.
Remember, it covers up to 250%, right? Yeah. So it covers up to those who make $30,000 a year, which actually, if you think about it, I made less than that when I was working in Delaware. So it would have covered me. It would have been a good plan for somebody my salary.
So it does cover a few people.
It covers more people than you think. But on the 100%, on that 100%, how do you fall below that?
It's physically impossible.
You cannot. Unless you literally did not work. You can't do that. Brandon, I'll put it this way. You worked part-time all last year, and what'd you make? About $10,000 in a year?
Around, right. I had about $10,000 after about 8 months in my bank.
Right, so I think I made somewhere around $6,000, $7,000 last year. I was at school for 6 months last year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
And you almost made half that.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on. How we doing on time? We kind of got off topic.
About 23 minutes in.
That's not bad. We're doing okay. All right, so
we're heated on this one. We got a heated debate.
Lower-income Americans could be left uninsured. About 11 million Americans gained coverage under Obamacare's Medicaid expansion provision. The Senate bill would eliminate the enhanced federal funding to the program by 2024. While that extends Medicaid's expansion life for a few years under the House bill, the end result is the same. Low-income adults would likely be kicked off the rolls. So let's talk about this. 2024.
One question, though. If it's only going to be implemented at 2024, like you said, couldn't someone just come in and take that away?
Bingo! We have a winner! That's it right there. Let's talk about this. He was elected in 2016.
Then it goes to 2020.
2024 would be the absolute last year that Donald Trump could be the president.
So
he's basically...
Unless he gets reelected, or a Republican with his views gets reelected...
That's exactly correct.
It's going to die out, and then we're going to be back at square one.
And that is why the American system, for what it's worth, despite the fact that it's a democracy, and it's free, and you have the right to vote, is complete bullcrap. It does nothing. You know who wins elections?
Rich people?
Business people. You know why business people win elections? Because it's all about money. The president, at this point, is a figurehead. The president is basically the king of America. And the prime minister of America are the wealthy.
That's not nothing new, though.
Oh, it's not, but it's more so than ever.
True.
There was a time when we once had a president who refused to be the king of America.
Mm-hmm.
Who stepped down after 2 terms to take his place amongst the people once again. Who said there was not a monarchy in this country, but somebody else should run it. There was a time when a president was so popular, he was elected 4 terms. And there's a reason that they put a term limit on that after that vote. But now we're looking at businesses running government instead of the other way around. Now, granted, government shouldn't fully run businesses. There should be freedoms, and of course there should be. But if there should be restrictions as well. But businesses are running the government, and it's not the other way around. And until we get back to government running the country, we're going to see this happen more and more. Before we continue to get heated and angry, let's step aside. We'll take a break. On the other side, we're going to calm things down just a little bit. I promise you we won't get as heated. No, I can't promise that. We probably will. This is my rant. On the other side. We'll get right back to it here on Baro Banter. Welcome back into the second segment of Baro Banter. You can find us on Twitter at Earls. Also on YouTube each week. We'll do a podcast. I promise you we're back to weekly. We took last week off for some personal issues. We're back. Tyler Zulli, Brandon Zulli, Chris Matase will be joining us next week once again. Some unfortunate circumstances for Chris. Like we mentioned, he had some back problems. He's healed now, but now he has some car problems. So things just aren't going well in the Matase house these days. So we wish him well. Hopefully he's back with us next week. Brandon just gave him the sign of the cross. Oh, I don't know about all that, but we're going to stick with the sign of the cross. So let's change things over real quick. We'll settle things down, and I'm going to get a little bit angry. So let's do a little bit of a rant here. I think there's some time to do a rant here, and this is a little bit of of something that happened very recently. In fact, happened less than 12 hours ago. So you don't even know this story yet.
No, I'm sure I don't.
You don't know this story yet. So yesterday, I went to work, and so we did an out and about. So I work at a radio station now, and we did an out and about. So we went out and did a live show from a remote location. Fans were there. We did a lot of meet and greet. We gave a lot of shirts away. It was fun. We watched the draft. Great time. Awesome time. I mean, I was there for 8 hours, and it was a blast. We were doing some trivia. I know something you wouldn't like, but for me, it was like right up my alley. But that's not the problem. Things went without a hitch. The show, both shows went well. We wrapped up. We cleaned up. So we were there from about 3 till midnight. And there, by the way, is Valley Forge Casino. We were there, and we were there, and we did our show and whatnot. So we had to give our IDs, our photo IDs, as collateral for our vendor passports.
Mm-hmm.
So when we give our passports back, we get our IDs back. You sign the paper and everything, no big deal. I hand my ID over. The other 3 people I'm with hand their IDs over. At the end of the night, we go to get our IDs. First guy, no problem. Next girl, no problem. Next guy, no problem. I go up. We don't have your ID. What do you mean you don't have my ID? How do you not have my ID? I gave it to you. I don't know, did somebody sign it out? I don't know. I've been over at those tables for the last 9 hours. It's your job as security to make sure nobody else got my ID. Hold on, let me check. And so where they have this ID is literally in a binder. And you know like those little plastic sheets where you put like your baseball cards or something in? They're literally in those. But my card is nowhere to be found.
Someone stole your ID?
So we're trying to figure out who the hell has my ID.
Please tell me it was in your pocket.
Somebody signed my name on the line, and they said, "Oh, well, maybe we gave it to somebody." I'm like, how can you give somebody their ID if you look at the card and the ID says Tyler Zulli, my address, my zip code, all that, my height, my weight, my hair color, my eye color.
Picture for
has my picture on it. If somebody was somebody else, don't you think they would have went,
this ain't you.
Not you. So, we're going through this whole debacle. We're sitting there for 20 freaking minutes trying to figure out where the hell my ID's at. They're like, oh, well, maybe we'll check the lost and found. Not there. We went, can you look at the tapes? They said, yeah, we can look at the tapes, but we can't zoom in on the card. We said, no, stupid. Look at the tapes. We'll look at the tapes. We'll see who it is. If we maybe know who it was that took it, we can call them. If it was somebody that worked at our station, I've got everybody's number. Hey, man, you have my ID? Yeah, I have your ID. I'll bring it to you right now. End of story.
Why would you need to zoom in on the card? You know what it looks like. It's your ID.
Right. But they go, well, we can't show you guys the tape. Okay, so why don't you look up at the tape, and at the time frame that my name was signed out, why don't you look who it is? Give us a description. What's he look like? Is he old? Is he young? Was he wearing a hat? Was he wearing a collared shirt? We could break it down. I know who was there. I know what everybody that worked at the station was, what they were wearing that day. Oh, yeah, we can't do that because we can't zoom in. I'm going to die today, or you're going to die today. One of the two. One of us is not making it out of this casino alive.
You decide who's in the paper tomorrow.
So they go, leave me your information, and we'll call you if anything comes up. And you can call the office from 3 to 11 when the head of security's in. And I said, here's the deal. I want to speak to the person that did my ID, that signed me in. They're like, well, he's a floater. He doesn't work for us. He works as an independent contractor. Okay, where is he? He's off for the night. Okay, call him. Oh, we don't have his number. At this point, my face was like this. I wish you could see me. I felt like, who does the Get Out of the Line skit?
That's, John Panette.
John Panette. I felt like John Panette. One of us is going to die today. You decide who it is. So they go, leave your information. I said, I have a question for you. What happens if at some point in the next 24 to 48 hours, I'm driving and I get pulled over for any reason? And the officer goes, license and registration. And I go, well, funny story, sir. I actually don't have my license because Valley Forge Casino lost it! How do I explain that to the officer?
How does someone else sign out your ID?
Well, here's the kicker. They said call us in the afternoon and we'll see if we found it. I'm about to leave. They go to put the book away. It falls out of one of the cracks in the book. She's like, I found your ID. And I spun around. I never did a 180 so fast in my life. And I said, okay, cool, thanks. She goes, hold on. I have to answer a security question. Or ask you a security question. She said, what's your ID? I said,
that is...
give me... No, not my ID. She said, what's your address? I said, my address is give me my ID. She said, sir, what's your address? I have to confirm. I said, it's 4760 Paisley Place. She goes, it is you! I said, no shit! What gave it away? Was it the picture that looks exactly like me, or the picture that looks exactly like me? Maybe the birthday I can confirm. You want my height? It says I'm 6 foot, but I'm really 6'1". I've got blue eyes and blonde hair. It used to be more blonde than what it was when I was 16 when I got my goddamn license. That's my picture. You want my birthday? You want my driver's license number? Because I could give you all 8 of the numbers. Lady, I'm going to murder you tonight if you don't give me my freaking license.
You're the dumbest people.
25 minutes. Oh, we don't know where your ID was. I don't know. Where could your ID be? I don't know. How about you check the fucking book? Where every other ID was. You know, I've done 5 rants now. And I haven't actually gotten angry. I'm so frustrated with this casino.
It's the angriest I've seen you in any rant you've ever given.
Here's the deal. I had gotten to work at 3 o'clock. I was scheduled from 3 to midnight. It's a 9-hour shift. That's not bad. You can't work a 9-hour shift. But at the end of a 9-hour shift, and the fact that we have a half an hour ride back to the station, and then I have a 40-minute ride back home, that's really like an 11-and-a-half-hour day.
Yeah.
By the time 9 hours rolls around of standing on my feet, talking to people, doing promotional stuff, doing my job,
You don't want.
I just want to go home.
You don't want to go with find the ID in the book you placed it in.
But the thing is, it wasn't in like a slot. The rest of them were in a slot, and for some reason, they just were like, you know what? All right, here's ID number 1 in a slot. ID number 2, slot. ID number 3, slot. Start number 4, close the book! Throw it on the ground! Like... See, here's my deal.
I'm just gonna guess. Most of these people didn't pass 4th grade.
I was trying not to get angry at the people that were working the counter at that exact moment because it really was not their fault. The guy who was working the counter 9 hours prior is to blame. He's the one.
Yeah, he's the one who lost.
He's the one that lost my ID.
Throw it in there.
But here's the deal: when you say I need to confirm your address,
when you're holding the ID,
I'm gonna stab you.
Of the person in front of you. There's a little picture for a reason.
Here's the deal. I can explain the picture to you. You see that picture? That's me smiling. I have a little scruff. I'm wearing a zip-up quarter zip. It's Penn State. You can't see the logo, but the Penn State logo's on there. I bet you it's blue. You know why I bet it's blue? Because all Penn State gear is blue! And I wear it all the time. I wear Penn State gear like 3 out of 7 days of the week. You know why? Because that's the university I attended. Get out of the line. She's like, I bet you're happy now, huh? I said, I will kill you.
Lady, I will freaking stab you.
It was a really bad way to end a pretty solid night.
Oh my god. Wow. How do you get that stupid?
I don't know.
Holy crap.
I don't know. I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm so angry. I wasn't angry. Or I was angry. And then I slept on it. And I was okay. And now that we started talking about it again, I'm pissed off.
I'm trying to put myself in the mindset where they're going, no, we can't show you the video because we might show the person who might have taken your ID. That's the point. Well, we can't.
Here's the thing. They were a great sponsor and a great host, and I don't want to take anything away from them. Our station and that casino have a great relationship, and the people that helped us set up and helped us tear down and helped us run the show, fantastic people, great atmosphere, good bar scene, a lot of fun. I don't want to say that and put myself in jeopardy. It was a lot of fun. But those people at the security desk,
I just have to ask, is there a body in the nearest river that you?
I didn't kill anybody. I promise you.
Okay.
I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done yelling. Are we good on time? Do we hit 10 minutes?
We hit 10 minutes.
All right,
we hit 12 minutes.
We're wrapping this.
You
shit up.
got angry.
We're wrapping this shit up. We're going to go to commercial break. On the other side,
I put a profanity warning at the beginning of this.
I only cursed once or twice.
I
didn't drop any F-bomb.
You dropped the F-bomb 3 times.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No way.
I will play it back for you.
Go ahead, play it back while we go to commercial break. We're going to go to commercial break. On the other side, we're going to get to Brandon's question. Then we'll finish things up with a little bit of a lighthearted segment. This is Baro Banter right here on YouTube and Twitter. Welcome back into the third segment of Baro Banter. A little more even keeled. Got some water. We're good to go. My voice doesn't hurt anymore. So let's get back on this third segment. Brandon, this has been traditionally your segment, so why don't you take it away?
This is Brandon's stupid question of the day.
Why don't you take it away?
All right, well, while we were looking up talking points for this week, when we got to the healthcare bill, and we decided to finally do that one, I noticed an article And it got me thinking.
Oh, God, you're thinking. That's never a good thing.
It's dangerous, I know. But it got me thinking, how close is the country to just imploding in on itself?
Complete implosion?
Yeah. And I don't mean obviously in a literal sense. I mean, I'm waiting for riots to just break out across just the nation. Just everywhere. The Amish will be fighting amongst themselves.
You stole my wool! No, I didn't. I made this myself. I'll kill you, Jimmy Bob Thornton.
Just remember, in Philadelphia, even our Amish will fight you.
That's true.
But back to my question. I saw that 2 decades ago, according to some kind of study, 21% of Republicans and 17% of Democrats gave the other party a very unfavorable rating.
Okay.
By last year, which I'm not sure when this was written, by 2016, the rating had shot up to 58 and 55%.
That's crazy.
Of an unfavorable rating. And a more troubling still, 45% of Republicans and 41% of Democrats view the other party as a threat to the nation's well-being.
That's an issue.
How the hell are those numbers that high? I mean, yeah, I get it. With the way technology is going, the way social media is, if you think one way, you can literally just Google search it and find hundreds of thousands of people who think the same way. So you're just going to be sitting and stewing in your own mindset, and you're never going to think in another way. But are those numbers that high? How can we not think, let's see what these guys have to say?
Because nobody wants to hear that they're wrong or that there's an opposing opinion. You might be right on a subject, but if somebody else says, no, I disagree with you, and here, you don't even get here's why. You get, no, I disagree with you. Shut up, you're wrong, I'm America. Or, shut up, you're wrong, you're in my safe space. I'm not... am I wrong?
You're not wrong. It's just, I'm trying to think of how we got to a point where almost half the country doesn't like the other half of the country.
You know the last time that happened, there was a big thing. It was where...
It was brother versus brother, gray versus blue.
There was a secession. There were states that formed their own little country, and then they fought a war, and they killed a lot of people. That's what's happening. Not to that extent, but you're getting to that point.
That's my question for the day, or for the week. How close are we coming to, or how long is it going to take to get to that point where we... I doubt it will.
I think you're...
Are we going to have another civil war?
I think you're farther off than what you want to think, or that what you're afraid to think. I don't think that there's a civil war looming by any means.
Am I wrong to say that we could be close to rioting across the nation for no apparent reason?
There's already been rioting across. You're late to the game on that one.
I mean more rioting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think.
Are we gonna have riot day? Have a parade with a giant Molotov balloon?
You gonna have the purge soon?
Oh God, don't get me started on that. It's a terrible movie. But anyway, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. Like, with all the way we can communicate and connect with one another on a social, spiritual level, how can we have this much distrust and distaste for one another in 2017? How is this physically possible?
Because everybody thinks they're right all the time.
I know, but that's
the short answer to it.
Said 45 and 41% of Republicans and Democrats think that the other party is a threat. Where's the rest of them? Can't they just say, hey, maybe these guys have a point? Maybe we could...
They're afraid to.
Maybe we could just hear them out.
Well,
maybe it'll work. The other crap we've been doing for the past 4 years hasn't been working. How about we try something new?
Because like I said, you're going to offend somebody if you say that. And that's the problem in the case that we have in our country.
Why do we care if we offend someone?
Because it's the way that things go nowadays. Everything is offensive. Somebody's going to get their feelings hurt. Whether you say that if you're a Democrat and you say, well, hey, maybe the Republicans have a good idea, you're going to get somebody that says, oh, you're you're a bigot, racist, asshole. And then on the other side, if you're a Republican and you say that the Democrats are right, they're going to say, you're not American, you don't support me, this is going to be a communist country. There's no win.
Can't we have an in-between?
You should have an in-between.
Is there an in-between?
Because if
is there any in-between? Isn't it just at this point, you're either far left or far right?
Well, basically. But let me put it this way. I would assume that if you were to register, you would register as a Democrat.
Probably, yeah.
Can you tell me with the utmost certainty that everything the Republicans say is stupid?
No.
Exactly.
The majority, I could say, is probably stupid.
Okay, is everything the Democrats say stupid?
Just like the Democrats, the majority of what they say are stupid. I just happen to agree with some of the stuff they say more.
Parties are like old Italian grandmoms. They throw the spaghetti against the wall and hope that it sticks. And when it sticks, it's ready.
It's a weird analogy.
It's what it is. They're old Italian grandmoms. And what do old Italian grandmoms do? They think they're right with everything.
But even think about this. Like, I know this is probably going to be a sore subject even if I bring it up.
Go ahead.
Guns are easier to get than ever. And with so much distaste, what's to stop everyone from going, I want that gun, I hate that person, let's take him out?
The law.
Yeah, but
I cannot physically... There is no physical thing. It's not like we all walk around with shock collars, and when you point a gun at somebody, it shocks you.
I know. It's just...
The only thing that is stopping you right here, from punching me in the face, is your morals. And the fact that
what happens when everyone's morals just
and the fact that you punch me in the face, the likelihood that after I wipe my nose with the blood, I'm going to turn around and beat you up. That's the only two things stopping you from punching me in the face right now.
I just want one week.
You're not going to get it.
Let's have 1 week where everyone goes, you know what? I'm going to put my shit away. And we're going to sit down in a room and we're going to talk this shit out.
You're not going to get it.
I know we're not. But wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be really nice?
Good try.
And you know what we could do with that? We wouldn't have to start our podcast with something political or an attack.
Right, every week.
We could go, you know what happened? Trump, his delegates, and a bunch of Democrats sat down and said, we're going to go over these points, we're going to find a compromise, and we're going to get this bill passed for something. I don't know what.
Because remember, Brandon, it's going to go back to that first talking point. Delegates, Congresspeople, Senate, House, Representatives, President, they do not care about me and you. All they care about are the wealthy 1%. They don't care if you and I say, I'm not voting for Donald Trump in the next election, I'll vote for that street cone before him. Guess what? Donald Trump's not going to lose the election because of you and me.
It'd be nice.
But our vote means nothing. Collectively, our vote means something.
No, collectively, our vote means nothing. Collectively, the vote was for Hillary Clinton, and she still lost.
Numbers-wise, yes, but percent in places where
for reasons no one has been able to explain to me well enough, Trump still won. But like I said, I just want 1 week where somebody goes, hey, let's talk this shit out. And doesn't go onto Twitter or Facebook or CNN or Fox News and goes, these people are idiots, they're un-American, bigoted, hypocritical, feminist, commie bastards who need to be taken out or this country will burst into flames. This country is sinking faster than the freaking Titanic.
So it's sinking faster than 4 hours? It's going to be gone in 4 hours? Is there a big hole we don't know about?
I wish. It'd be simpler.
You want to die?
It'd be, watch out for the hole. Don't go near the hole.
Stay away from the hole.
You'd know where the hole is.
It's true. Very true.
You could say, hey, put cones around the hole. No one goes in the cones. Because that's where the hole is.
If you go within the hole, you're at your own risk.
Then no one has to do anything for you.
No.
Can we just do that?
Put a big hole in the center of the earth?
I don't know.
And just drop. It'd be funny. See how long it would take for somebody. If you drop them, like if you drilled a hole to the core of the earth and then drop something down there, how long it would take to get down there.
Their ashes would be gone by the first molten layer.
I know. It's just a hypothetical.
Yeah, just like my hypothetical of a peaceful week in Congress.
Yeah, but mine's more likely.
You're right. I think it's more likely that we, as a planet, even not just a country or a continent or whatever, we as a planet are gonna drill down to the molten core of the Earth without fucking exploding the planet. Drop a man in and calculate the time.
There is actually a theory. It's called the gravity tunnel that gives you an exact time down to seconds.
How much?
So, a scenario often presented to introductory physics classes is that of gravity tunnel, a tube drilled from one side of the Earth to the other through the planet's center. The answer taught for nearly a half a century for how long a fall through such hole would take is about 42 minutes and 12 seconds.
Really?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yep.
Wow.
That's all you need.
So you're right. It is more plausible that someone would be dropped from one end of the earth than a peaceful week in the United States of America.
Never gonna happen. Not again. Is that all you got?
Can't we go back to a simpler time when brother helped brother?
Nope.
Neighbor lent a cup of sugar to neighbor and wasn't worried that he was gonna diddle his little kid.
There was no simpler time. White people took the land from Native Americans and used black slaves. Black slaves were finally freed, but not really given any kind of equality. Neither were women, and women were finally given it to it, but now there's a wage gap and there's still racism in the world. There's never been a simpler time in this country.
You're right. Let's move to Ireland. At least they have pretty fields.
I'm going to Antarctica. Nobody lives there.
The penguins. Living with the penguins.
Exactly.
Those are some suits I can get behind.
There you go. Let's wrap this segment up. One final on the other side. We'll simplify things a little bit, have a little bit more fun. We'll get back to you on the other side. This is episode 5 of Baro Banter. Final segment here on episode 5 of Baro Banter. Tyler Zulli, Brandon Zulli, here in the exclusive Ben Salem Basement Studios. No Chris today. He'll be back fairly shortly. Hopefully next week we've got the 3-man team back. So we're going to finish up with a little bit of a lighter segment.
We both got pretty angry in our segments.
We did. We really did. This is going to be a very angry episode, so we really hope that you enjoy a little bit more frustration than what we normally.
We might get angry at this because it's going to bring up some bad memories.
I wouldn't say angry. I think we're more just compelling than anything else. So, everybody's gone to high school. Most people have gone to high school.
I hope you've gone to high school.
And throughout high school, one constant that is in every school, it doesn't matter if you went to a Catholic Christian school, if you went to a public school, if you went to a private school, if you were homeschooled. One thing that really stayed pretty consistent throughout is math, and the other one is literature. And so we're going to talk about some literature today that we'd like to discuss. And I have a question for you now. I don't generally do the questions. It's normally the other way around. But I have a question for you. So just really quickly, here is a top 10. This is on Goodreads.com. They list the top 10 books of all time. First, I want you to tell me how many of these books you have read. Okay?
Okay.
Number 10, Grapes of Wrath. Number 9, Catch-22.
Nope.
Number 8, Animal Farm. Number 7, no. Lord of the Flies.
No.
Number 6, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Nope.
Number 5, The Great Gatsby.
Nope.
Number 4, The Catcher in the Rye.
Yes.
Number 3, The Lord of the Rings.
I've started it.
Number 2, 1984.
Nope.
And number 1, To Kill a Mockingbird.
No.
Okay, your English classes were terrible.
Yes, they were.
However, all right, so would you read one of those?
I read the Catcher in the Rye.
Okay, so I'll put it this way. Out of those 10, I've read Grapes of Wrath, Catch-22, Animal Farm, Great Gatsby, Catcher in the Rye, 1984, and To Kill a Mockingbird. What I want to get at today is why, it doesn't have to be these top 10, but just why do great those that are quote-unquote great American classic novels, or great classic novels if they're not written by Americans, why are they considered these classic books when a majority of them are horrible?
Honestly, I think it has to do with the time period that they were released in. Like, the one I have read, Catcher in the Rye,
it's horrible!
The great controversial book of the world. It caused an assassination. It caused people to lose their minds. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there in English class in, I think, 11th grade. I'm thinking, wow, this is absolutely horrible. And I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, so the controversial stuff is later on in the book. Maybe he'll go on some kind of rampage and I don't know, maybe like kill somebody. I don't know what this book is about. And then I get to the end, it's just like, it's just some bratty dweeb complaining about the world.
Yeah.
It was a hipster.
It was a hipster back when the book was made. It was Catcher in the Rye, correct?
Yes.
That book was written in, well, that's not right. First published in 1951. It's a terrible book then. It's a terrible book now. So, like I said, out of these 10 books that were in the top 10, I hated To Kill a Mockingbird. 1984 was okay. Catcher in the Rye was garbage. Great Gatsby was garbage. Animal Farm I loved. Catch-22 was awful. And The Grapes of Wrath I thought was horrible. That's awful. How are these such classic American novels? I keep saying American, but classic novels and classic literature that are taught all throughout not only American literature classes, but everywhere. France, England, Germany, they're taught everywhere. These books are absolutely terrible, and they're revered as these great novels.
Once again, I have to say it's probably just due to when they were released.
Right.
Like, there's one book that wasn't on there that I'm surprised is and that I utterly enjoyed was Of Mice and Men.
See, I hated that book too.
I thought that was a really good book. Wasn't the best, but it was actually really entertaining. But nobody talks about it like Catcher in the Rye or anything, and I'm like, why?
Well, A Tale of Two Cities, I hated that as well.
I never read that.
The only one that's a constant that I thoroughly enjoyed was Tom Sawyer. It was the only one that I liked. Well, that and like I said, Animal Farm. I loved Animal Farm. Now, maybe it's what you're trying to get out of the book. When I read Animal Farm, I'm a big history guy, so it worked well for me. I thought it was right up my alley, and maybe that's the reason I loved it. And I'm sure there's people that loved, The Grapes of Wrath or Catcher in the Rye or Of Mice and Men that hated Animal Farm. But to me, everybody that I talk to that's our age says, that book was horrible. Hated Catcher in the Rye. Hated Of Mice and Men. Hated Grapes of Wrath. Maybe everybody's got their one that they liked.
Yeah.
But they never have, I liked all of them.
Because they're not good.
They're really not good.
They're horrible books. That's all you can say about them.
They're weirdly written, and I know it's for that time period. That's how they were written in that time period. But they're weirdly written. They're boring. They're cut and dry.
You know what it was I know it's not technically a book. It's more of a play that I just found so boring. I read Romeo and Juliet in 10th grade. And I was like, God, I know this story and I know it's really interesting, but this sucks.
I'm 15. My parents hate your parents. I'm 15. My parents hate your parents. Okay, let's stab ourselves.
Let's stab ourselves. I'll poison you.
But you won't actually die, and then I'll wake up and you'll be dead.
I'll poison myself. I'll be dead. You'll wake up. You'll poison yourself, and then we'll both be dead. And
the end.
One of the great plays and literature works of all time. Well done. You know what's another one?
What's that?
The Old Man in the Sea.
Oh, see, I love that. I thought it was riveting.
Here's The Old Man in the Sea for anybody who hasn't read it. Man goes out, couldn't catch fish, comes back. Man goes out, catches fish.
Sharks eat it.
Sharks eat fish, comes back, is happy at end. One of the great literary works of our time.
Well, and I'm looking through this list, and I'm looking, and I'm looking, and I'm looking, and you know what book I don't see anywhere here?
Harry Potter?
Is the Iliad and the Odyssey.
That's amazing.
And they're fantastic.
They're wonderful.
They're so well written. They're interesting stories. It's still not on here. I'm still looking. I'm down into the 60s now. Let me Control F this one to see if I can find it.
How? That's what the book that got me started into mythology.
Not on the top 100 list.
Are you?
Not even a
Either
little.
of them?
Nope, neither of them.
There's something wrong with this list.
I'll go find another one to see if there's a... All right, here's a modernlibrary.com. Now, yeah,
I'm stunned that it wasn't that the Iliad or the Odyssey was not in the top 100, because those are two of the best books I've ever read.
let me Control F this one. See if
Hell,
I
I
can
read them like 6 times when I was in 5th grade.
Let's see what we got. I'm thinking probably not.
Are you kidding me? Nothing.
Nothing on the Iliad.
Odyssey?
Nothing on the Odyssey.
Oh, for God's sake.
I don't understand.
Who makes this list? Trump?
Stupid people, apparently.
Who made this list? Congress?
Here we go. Best books of all time. Ranker.com.
Let me guess, it's not going to be on there either.
Am I spelling Odyssey wrong? No.
O-D-Y.
Yeah, exactly. Nope.
Oh my God.
No Iliad or the Odyssey on that one.
I'm losing more faith
But Romeo
in
and
humanity.
Juliet's on there.
Oh.
Great Expectations. Another terrible one.
You know what should be on there? The Jungle. How about that one?
You know what should be on there? Nothing, because these books are all garbage.
Oh,
I'm giving up.
I'm still...
Listen, I'm a big believer in reading,
So am I.
but I don't like these.
But think of it this way. How did a book... I want to see it. I don't know if he ever gave why. How did a book like Catcher in the Rye get someone to execute someone else? Who? I don't remember the guy's name. Who this guy was just sitting there reading this book and was like, I gotta kill John
I'm
Lennon.
going to go kill John Lennon.
Must kill John Lennon. What?
Kill Lennon. Kill Lennon. I don't know. I don't get it. Let me look that up.
You're sitting reading a book about a whiny teenage brat who thinks everyone around him is, in his own word, a phony. I literally had a promise. If I saw phony one more time when I was like in the last chapter, I was going to run up and punch my teacher in the face.
That bad, huh?
I'm sitting there reading and I'm like, and I get to the end, and I'm a fast reader, so I'm done before everyone else. The teacher's like, are you done? I was like, yeah. What was that? She goes, I know, it said it's one of the most controversial books. No, let me stop you right there, Teach. It ain't controversial. It's shit. I bet you I could write a better book with this with 25 minutes of my time on anything. And this,
I'm going to write a story about staring at the wall for the next half an hour.
Here, you want to talk about that? Here's the question. Does paint dry from top to bottom or bottom to top?
Riveting stuff.
It's more interesting than the fucking Catcher in the Rye.
It's true. Very true.
I'd rather watch grass grow.
I'd rather watch
paint
grass
dry.
get small and paint get wet.
I'd rather have a cheap pet.
You went too far. You went too far.
I'm sorry, it's just, no, there's another, I can't remember what it was called. I need to look up this book. I don't know if you ever read it, though. Just give me 1 second. Tale
Tale of Two Cities?
No. The Tale of Owen Meany.
What?
This book is about a midget, virgin birthed, spiritual guide messiah. And it's told from the point of view of his friend who I think dodged the draft by cutting off his trigger finger and learned that the midget was the second coming of Christ.
In the summer of 1953, two 11-year-old boys are playing a Little League baseball game. One of the boys hits a foul ball that kills the other boy's mother.
Yeah, that's Owen Meany.
That just sounds awful.
It was the worst book. This was
Prayer
worse.
for Owen Meany?
That one. That and Catcher in the Rye are the two worst books ever written. And I swear to God, if I ever see him again, I'm burning it.
This looks awful.
It is the worst book. I'm sorry, I'm getting angry again. I'm trying not to. Here's the worst part. We didn't just have to read it. We had to do reports on it. Literally, one question in the report was, why was the second or third chapter called The Baseball? Here's why, and it had to be like a 300-word fucking paragraph.
Because it hit somebody with a baseball.
Here's why it's called The Baseball. Some kid hit a baseball and killed a mom. That's why it's called The Baseball. End of story, blah, blah, blah for the next 294 words.
Right. I don't know, man. I don't know. Books are weird.
Here's a good book. Pick up the Percy Jackson series.
Don't do that.
Or the Kane Chronicles.
Pick up whatever you feel like you want to read.
Or the Inheritance Cycle. Go read Aragon. That's a good book. I read that in a day. It's really good. And you know what? You don't have to do a fucking report on it afterwards. Why is there a dragon on the cover? I don't know, because it's about friggin' dragons.
People are weird. Books are weirder. That's all we have to say.
I'm sorry. We've gotten angry at every single topic today. I'm sorry for that. Usually we like to keep this last one at least lighthearted. It didn't happen. And next week, we promise it'll be at least the last topic will be more lighthearted, and hopefully we'll have Chris in so we can get back to normal. So, any final thoughts, Tyler? You want to close this out?
No final thoughts. I'm done. I don't want to
close this out.
Let's wrap this thing up. One final time, thank you so much for listening to Baro Banter. As always, you can catch us on YouTube, Easy Mode Earls, on Twitter at Easy Mode Earls as well. We'll do a podcast every Friday, breaking down what's going on in our stupid little minds. Today it was a little bit angry. Tomorrow, or next week I should say, maybe it won't be as hostile of a situation. Maybe Chris could be a little bit of a third-party mediator for this episode. But for my brother Brandon, I am Tyler Zulli saying thank you for tuning in as always. It's your first time listening. Thanks for tuning in for the first time. If you listen to every podcast, we hope you enjoyed this one and every one. You can find all 5 episodes on YouTube. They're under the Easy Mode Earls title. We'll be able to find all of them and much more as the podcast progresses. But for this week, we say so long.